We are in the circle. NorthJerseySports.com's original multimedia series talking all things softball across North Jersey. This is Season 6, Episode 2. And Richie B, the season is in full swing. I am Corey Doviak, being joined by the aforementioned co-host, Mr. Softball, Richie Ballgame Barton. What's going on, Richie B?
Nothing, just being Mr. Softball. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to be Mr. Softball, but I enjoy talking about it. We'll be talking a lot about it tonight.
Yes, we certainly will be. We have a action-packed show tonight. We are going to talk to Tenafly head softball coach Jeff Kohler, whose name I learned to spell this very evening. It is Koehler, Richie B, not Kohler, as I have been.
I did that 20 years ago.
Yes.
We've been friends with the guy for 20 years. How do you not know how to spell his name?
It's so embarrassing. I think I probably first covered him in 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not great, but yeah, we're gonna move past it.
You're
tonight.
Also not known for your spelling and grammar. Let's call it what it is here.
It's very true. Anybody who's ever read NorthJerseySports.com knows that sometimes I struggle, but I will not struggle tonight because I'm going to talk to Jeff Kohler, and then we're going to bring on Leslie Corci Valenti, who has some interesting news about coaching on the national level, and also she's going to talk about the All-Stars baseball and softball practice facility. And speaking of the All-Stars baseball and softball practice facility, they are the official sponsor, the anchor sponsor, the presenting sponsor of this very show, In the Circle, here on NorthJerseySports.com. Check them out at allstarspractice.com. That's allstarspractice.com. And on the Twitter at All-Stars Lodi, Richie B. But before we get to our star-studded guest list, let's just talk a little bit about the state of softball across North Jersey here. And the thing that pops out to me, we talked to Diana Fasano last week from IHA. They are still rolling since we last spoke. And also Ramsey with a big win, the two-time defending Bergen County champion, with a big win this past weekend over Indian Hill. So I think as we've talked about last week, the upper echelon starting to sort itself out now.
No doubt about it. Again, it's not Ramsey beating Indian Hills; it's how they beat them. I mean, Indian Hills, put up 3 in the top of the first, and Ramsey just roared all the way back quickly, might add, and won the game. What was it, 13-4?
I think it was 12-4. Yep, but still
12-4.
Yep.
But I mean, you never know, what teams are going to pop up in these ones. There's, going back 15 years, like Richfield Park getting to the semifinals or whoever,
How about Highlands winning it not that long ago?
Highlands winning it, yeah, but but for the most part, I think this year more so than anyone else, as we talked about in last week's show, the upper echelon is really coming into form now in the county tournament setting. Can they continue that? We shall see. That's the fun of the county tournament. But as of right now, IHAIC and Ramsey have definitely separated themselves from the pack a little bit.
Riley White just throwing gas for IHA.
Yeah, well, she's been throwing gas, but now she's becoming a pitcher as well. And she's also, probably the most feared home run hitter in the county. So, it's a pretty nice luxury to have that, both of those in one player.
That's like, what was that guy's name? Babe Ruth.
He did okay.
Yeah.
He did okay. He had a decent career. Played for a terrible team, terrible organization. But besides that, spoke like a true Cleveland Indian fan I am.
Yeah, and a Mets fan on this end, too. All right, so, a couple other teams just want to mention here. Old Japan plugging away. I think they're 6-3, maybe 5-3. They've won a couple of lost to Indian Hills by only a run on opening day. Just really walloped Fairlawn. Fairlawn's been a very good program the last couple of years, for sure. They beat them 15-0 over the weekend. They beat Teaneck in 10 innings the other day, and you saw Teaneck was that opening day against Passaic Valley. You know they can hit the ball well. They scored 13 runs against a good Passaic Valley team. They gave Old Tappan all they could handle, and Old Tappan gutted one out. So, as far as teams in that, number 5, 6, 7, 8 category in Bergen County as it shakes out, Old Tappan seems to be putting themselves in that mix. And anybody else that Ridgewood too, anybody else that you see kind of filling out the quarterfinal round?
Ramapo?
Yes.
Ramapo has been, really the surprise team in terms of what they've done early on. I think Group 1 is going to sneak in there. You got to watch out for Waldwick. You got to watch out for Emerson. I mean, those are two teams. You can never count out Perez. Samantha Settecasey, is one of the premier players in Bergen County.
And how about the still undefeated Hasbrook Heights Aviators?
Yeah, Hasbrook Heights went to a section final last year and almost returned the whole team. I mean, they're going to be a factor, no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, with the top three clearly defined, and then you throw in Indian Hills and the other teams that we talk about, but I think there is space in that top 8 for some teams to make a run. That could make the county tournament fun, even if they're not necessarily playing for a championship, they're going to be playing to get in deep some programs that haven't been there in a long time, or at least recently while we've been doing it. So that could be fun to watch. All right, Richie Ball Game. Exciting times here on this edition of In the Circle as we welcome in the premier and featured guest on this episode. He is a man who has appeared, he can correct me if I'm wrong when he says his first words on the show, but I believe he has appeared on NorthJerseySports.com multimedia presentations as a girls basketball coach, a boys basketball coach. I don't think we've ever done a volleyball show, but if we did, we would have had him on. And now, as the head softball coach at Tenafly High School, he is Jeff Kohler. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, Corey. Hey, Richie. Thanks for having me. This is great. Thank you.
Is that true that were you on as a girls basketball coach?
Yeah.
A boys basketball coach?
We were myself, Scott Petty, I think Nick DeBarry, and Dave Saplicki, all those guys. We were always we were on every year.
Yeah,
and then I went to the boys, and you forgot about me for a couple of years, and then you got me back, so it was good.
Yes. But then all those guys that you mentioned, DeBarry, Saplicki, I mean, you're out. Saplicki, he's still around, but you're outlasting everybody here. This is quite a career.
Yeah, those guys. Well, Scott's still around. He's with the girls again. He's back. So
yes,
and I think Mike Kilgallen was there for a little bit too.
That's true. Yes, a smorgasbord.
Yeah.
That's Richie B's boy, Mike Kilgallen, right, Richie B?
That's true.
Mike is the man. He's awesome. When I got the softball job, I went out with a couple coaches, Craig Nielsen, obviously, for the Mawa, and just pick his brain.
The legend.
I called Helen a couple of times from Rutherford, that she was great. And Mike, I went out to Section 201, talk softball.
Now, it's interesting you brought up Helen Anzulidis here, the longtime...
Yeah, I didn't want to say that last name.
Yeah. Well, two things about that. One, I can't spell her last name, and two, before you picked up just when you picked up the phone, after 20 years of covering you, I finally found out that there's 2 E's in your name. So from here on out,
I didn't want to. I don't want to change that. I figured I'd let it go.
Yeah, from here on out, I'm going to spell it correctly, but there's no way I'm going back to the archives and changing 20 years worth of mistakes. It shall remain in the past as Koh, but from here on forward, it will be Koeh. And the other one, Richie B, he brought up Helen Anzulidis, the longtime Rutherford head coach, and you just covered her in a game that she lost. How was that post-game press conference?
Not safe for work interview, but that's a team that they're going to be a team that gets better as the year goes on. They're going to make some noise come state tournament time. But Helen is one of our favorites, and you always know with her, it's no holds barred. She's going to say exactly what she's thinking, good or bad, and she's awesome.
She's usually thinking that she doesn't like Rich Barton or Corey Doviak.
No, she loves this until like the game is actually going on, and then she realizes that she doesn't like either of us.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Well, yeah, all the games in North Jersey, you got to come here.
Yeah, I was texting her this morning, and I said to her, I'm like, you're not warm and fuzzy like you are in volleyball. And she got a kick out of it. But we scrimmaged them early in the year. They're very good. They're a good team.
All right,
and obviously she's one of the best.
She is one of the best, and one of the, the gruff exterior aside, she is one of the nicest people in North Jersey sports for sure.
She's great.
So, Mr. Kohler, Koehler, the reason we have you on tonight is to talk some Tenafly high school softball. And honestly, I don't think that's ever been a topic of discussion on In the Circle in as many years as we have been doing this show. So, a 6-1 start. You guys were 6-0 going into today. Took one on the chin a little bit from Indian Hills, but who doesn't in the public school arena? You got to be thrilled with a 6-1 start to the year.
Yeah, I think it started last year with the seniors we had last year, and we won 8 games, and that was pretty significant for last year. And then coming in this year, we graduated about 8 seniors, and we had this really good freshman class. And it's funny because we're hearing about this Ramapo class, and I have 4 freshmen that are really good, and the sky's the limit with them. I think that, going into the year, it's awesome having freshmen, but it's also a little scary because they don't understand, they don't get it. They just here they're happy to be on the team kind of thing. And I have been pretty fortunate that I've had pretty much senior-based teams in volleyball, basketball, and softball my first go around. So with these 4 freshmen, they're really bringing a lot of energy to the program and to the team, and they have a lot to learn. But just packing their bag, understanding the Northeast weather, doing the right thing after, icing the arms, doing all the that silly stuff, that the little stuff that you need to do as a ball player.
What is the state of softball in Tenafly? Obviously, you have freshmen, so you have 4 quality freshmen. You have a solid feeder system. It sounds like it's one of those sports where it used to be it was a no-brainer that every female would play as a kid, but now there's so much competition with other sports and even out-of-season sports and stuff like that. Like, what's the state of softball in the town of Tenafly for these kids coming up before they get to high school?
I think it's getting better. We have about 81 girls in the feeder programs coming up. And you figure maybe about 40 will continue, and then maybe about 20 that will really be a significant player at the varsity level. I have a pretty decent 8th grade program. This mother coach, this girl Mindy, has been great. She's been working with the 8th graders, and I have about 3 or 4 8th graders coming up too, also next year. It's really the JV team. We have a team that we field, but it's still a work in progress. So, and with lacrosse coming into town, it really put a little damper into the softball program. I actually had a name from the past you might remember, Ashley Thompson.
Yes.
My volleyball player, basketball player, phenomenal softball player, came and talked with the team yesterday. Or on Saturday. So we've tried to incorporate the alumni and to build this up. And it will take time. I really thought it was going to take 3 or 4 years, but I think with this team, I think we have a good 2-year window, maybe 4-year window if these 8th graders come up, that we could be really competitive. And that's the goal. And today we took it on the chin, like you said. But, who doesn't against Indian Hills? And Joe Light is obviously one of the best in the business. And it's something that, I think that we weren't, we were not focused at times. But when you're playing a team like Indian Hills, you have to be focused all the time. You have to do all the things right, everything. And we walked in, I think we were 2 runs down anyway. And that's something that, in volleyball and basketball, we are 2 runs up. And I think when we start turning the corner with this softball, that when we walk into a place, we're already up 2-0. And I think that's going to take a little time, but I think with this group, they're going to do it.
So, sounds exciting. Go ahead, Richie B.
Yeah, and obviously, it seems like every team these days can hit, but you don't see the real power pitcher anymore. But you happen to have one of them. Claire, I'm not sure if it's Gleitman or Geitman or how you pronounce it.
It's Gitman.
But all I know is
Gitman.
59 strikeouts in 28 innings coming into today's game. I mean, that's really impressive, and that's got to give, your lineup confidence, saying, like, hey, if we can scratch across a couple, we feel pretty confident we're going to come out with a W.
Yeah, and she hasn't pitched in about a week. She's having a little arm trouble, but she did pitch 3 innings today. We really didn't want to max her out more than 60 pitches, 3 innings, and just to see how, just to get her back going. But she's the real deal. When she's 100%, she has a fastball. She has an incredible curveball. Like I said, she has a little arm problems, but this is something that even talking to her and her father and even before the season, that kind of like AAU basketball, there's a place for it. It's great. But when you're playing club softball, you're playing pretty much on the weekends, maybe one day during the week. The Northeast weather, everything, and the mental aspect of it, it's just a different game than the club ball. It's more realistic to college life. And it's something that I think by pitching the way she was doing, it took a little toll. And we really took care of her. I mean, she pitched that Monday, Wednesday, and then she didn't pitch again until the following Monday. And that's when she started having these, the arm issues. But, I try to take care of my athletes in all my sports, especially when they're not pitching, when there's the off days. But she could be really good. And that's something that she's got to work on. Like I talked to you about packing the bag, understanding that you keep your arm warm. And she's a short sleeve girl. She doesn't like wearing anything on her arms, but it's something that might have to change down the line in the next couple of years. But when we went to Florida this year, when she was sweating and it was hot out, she was throwing a lot of gas, and it was really awesome to see. It's fun. It's almost like playing a game because I'm kind of calling the pitches. And she's got about 4 or 5 pitches other than her fastball, and it has a great movement. So the sky's the limit with her. I think it's more mental, and I think it's more understanding what it's like to take care of your body and to understand the long term with the cold weather and all the stuff that goes on with it.
How important was it to open the season, to get that early season win against Holy Angels? Yeah, it's a good team coming off a great season from last year, and then you won that game 4-2. And, right off the bat, the girls were like, wow, we might be able to win some games here. I mean, was that a big factor, or, now 2.5 weeks later, is that long in the rearview mirror?
No, that definitely showed. I mean, even in Florida, we played these good teams, and we actually did really well in Florida. And we lost to Lyndhurst. It's funny, you go all the way to Florida and you play Lyndhurst.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And we,
well, it's probably,
what?
You might be able to. The commute is probably almost the same if you try to get to Lyndhurst at like 5:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. It'll take you just as long to get to Florida.
Yeah, but when we played the Florida teams, there were some really good teams, and just the way they went about it, a lot of my girls were like, oh, it's gonna be a tough game, and then you end up winning those games. So then when you play Holy Angels and you come in and you know what they're about, they're the 6th-ranked team. Sue Liddy is, the legend in this county, and
no doubt.
And they're a very good team. They're a very good program, and but to beat them, that was really a significant part of our season so far, because it showed that we could play with teams if we're focused and doing all those little things. And we're a really big small ball kind of team, and bunting and moving runners. And when you're doing that, you scrape. Like we played Riverdale, we won 1-0 on basically a bunt, and then there was an error, and then a girl ran around and scored the 1 run. So when you're playing that stuff and you can manufacture runs, that's what you're all about. And obviously we have a pitcher, she's at full strength, but I also have a second pitcher, Megan George, that really has good spin on the ball. She doesn't throw as fast, but she's like rubber arm. She just wants to go out. She would go out every day and just pitch, and that's great to have for your number 2.
Go ahead, Richie.
Here's an interesting question, because we've known you for a long time. What's it like having your daughter on the team? I mean, talk about that dynamic. It's like you faced every kind of situation as a coach, and then that one is something that you can't really prepare for. How have you dealt with that? How has she dealt with it?
Yeah. I absolutely love it. I mean, I know in volleyball, I changed the way I coached a little bit. I actually, and I told this to Nick DeBarry when he got his son with coaching basketball. I basically, especially in the beginning, like I kind of knew she was good enough to play, but I made it up. I made the girls decide. So every drill, I'd say, all right, girls, who are the best three? Who are the best three? And when she was constantly being picked by her teammates, it made it a lot easier. Now, I'm harder on her than everybody, and I tell her, I'm like, if I can get on you, I can get on everybody,
right,
or anybody. And I think that I really think she enjoys it, except when I'm probably yelling at her. But the whole thing with Kelsey, and I tell this to anybody that will listen, I just want to win. I'll put anybody in, anytime, anywhere. And a perfect example of the freshman year, she was basically starting on volleyball when we got to the state sectional final. So she was my starter. The following year, she didn't start. And I think, as a coach, as a father of a player, I think it just showed that, look, I'll put anybody in. I'll put my daughter in, but if she's not producing, well, somebody else will get in. And I think that in volleyball really helped. I think in softball, Coach Williams played her and started her as a freshman, so it was a lot easier down the road. I think she really did a good job of bringing her on slowly with softball, but she's a slap hitter. I think about 2 weeks before her freshman year, she wasn't strong enough to come around on right, so we moved her to left, and she really picked it up, and it's fun to watch because everybody and their brother knows that she's going to slap or bunt or move the runner, and she's I think second on the team in hits this year and first in stolen bases, so it's kind of cool watching her. But I do get on her, and I tell the girls, if I can get on her, I can get on anybody, and it's something that it's really fun to. I haven't really enjoyed it so much. I think her senior year, I'll probably sit back a little bit more and enjoy it, but I'm constantly on her. But the funny part about it is she won't let me talk to her about basketball. So coaching girls basketball for 15, 16 years, she won't even let me talk about basketball anymore with her. So I have to leave her alone for basketball.
I get it, though. I mean, I'm not a coach, but, my daughter is on the JV softball team at Old Japan, and I really struggle with, like, how many times have I talked about on shows, like, don't be an over a hovering parent, let the coaches coach, and I think the way I deal with it is I just don't really go that often. Like, I try to sneak in. The other day they had a game in Paramus. My wife and I, we drove, and I sat over the left field fence. I saw an at-bat, and then I saw her at-bat. She knew we were there. We made eye contact, and then I was gone because I don't want to, it's hard for me because of what I do. I don't want to ever feel like put a coach in a position that, and again, I think the Old Japan coaches know that I'm not trying to get anything done. I just appreciate the fact that my daughter's on the team and everything else. When whatever happens is great. But, it's a weird dynamic when you're that intimately involved with your daughter, and I think you're doing a great job with it. I mean, if she's still talking to you on the ride to school, or
you're
doing a good job.
The car rides. The car rides are great. You get the earful, but basketball is kind of good because I'm coaching the boys. But I'll watch some games on Huddle, or if I do happen to go to a game, my wife will sit with all the parents, and I'll just kind of stand by myself on the side and try to kick some things, tell her to be aggressive and all that. But she's a very, very, very good role player, and you need role players as a head coach for Tenafly for 22, 23 years. Those role players are the ones that help you win championships. And I had a few in the boys basketball this past year, and you can't say enough about them because they sacrifice, they understand their role. If it's a minute, 2 minutes, or whatever it is, that's what they do, and they do it as best they can.
Yeah, and from a broader perspective, we've been talking about this a lot too, and I'm, take it away from the family aspect that you're going through, but I think on the high school sports level as a whole, it's the role players that are getting harder and harder to find. The ones who want to go to practice every day. Yeah.
Everybody wants to be the all-county, all-league player or think college and all that stuff, and it's not about that. Enjoy your time, and especially the time that I've been in Tenafly. We've had a handful of kids that went to college, that played 4 years. It's always, the coach or the players or something happens, and that's why the best advice I could tell the kids is just enjoy this moment because you can't count on anything after college. So, but,
after high school,
after high school, my fault.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And if you let somebody derail your high school career for whatever reason it is, the coach doesn't like you, this, that, any reason you can dream up. If you let somebody derail your high school career, you're making a huge mistake because you only go this way once. And, as Richie B can tell you, as as we've talked about, as I've said a zillion times, like I still talk about my high school career, and I stunk, but it was fun. And those days were great. So
the glory days.
Yeah. Richie B, you got anything else for the coach here? I mean, it's so great to have Jeff Kohler in a softball setting.
I have something, because I definitely want to just bring this really quick up. Okay. I have a coach, Katie Fritz, that's been with me the last 2 years, and I'll tell you, I make jokes about that. I wish I had her as a player, because she's a tough woman that knows the softball, and we're a better program because of her. So it's really great to have her in the program and to have her continue coaching here. And I know last year was the beginning, first year we have a coach together, and now, the second year we kind of seeing really eye to eye. We see different things. And when we talk about what we just talked about, she's a big advocate on just enjoy these years. Forget about college. Forget about anything else. Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Richie B, anything else?
Nope. Nope. Actually, no, I do. Obviously you're off to a 6-1 start, and, it's kind of surprising to those on the outside, maybe not so much within the program, but, what do you feel you need to do better to get to where you want to be? I mean, this is a team that wants to make noise in the county, wants to make noise in the states. Obviously it's a great circle. What do you feel you need to improve on?
I think in all the teams I coach, it's softball IQ, it's basketball IQ, volleyball IQ. We have to be the smartest team on the field, on the court, whatever it is. And it's something that, little things that we have to just keep working on. Base paths, running the base paths, knowing where to throw it, talking, communicating. Just keep focusing on the next play. And that's the big thing. We always talk about next pitch. And it's something that we always talk, we always try to kind of really convey to the kids on just staying focused. I think with softball, and one of my other daughter quit softball because when she played right field, and she picked daisies, and she got bored, and it's something that we talk about more so than any other sport. There's so many little distractions. It could be a bird, it could be a dog, it could be anything that kind of distracts you from the moment of the game, and it's something that you have to kind of go in your circle of focus or whatever we talk about. And if we work on that, and we pitch well, and we play good defense, and we can manufacture a run or two, we're going to be fine. And, with standing today, I think today was a nice little wake-up call. And we're not there yet. We have a long way to go. We just got to play each game and do the best we can.
I think that's well said. Jeff Kohler, head coach of the Tenafly Fighting Tigers, trying to schedule a photo shoot here, being stymied by the weather and all sorts of scheduling, but we are going to get it done on NorthJerseySports.com, and we're going to have a good time doing it, pal. That much I can promise you. And thanks for joining us here on In the Circle.
Guys, thanks so much for having us, and me. Thank you.
All right, Richie Ballgame here. We're going to switch directions a little bit on this edition of In the Circle. Now, we mentioned at the top of the show that the presenting sponsor, the anchor sponsor of this very show, In the Circle, is All Stars, the best place to practice. Your baseball, softball, everything good. You can see the ads all over NorthJerseySports.com. I explained it a little bit better than I just did before, but it also leads us into our next guest here on In the Circle as we welcome in a proprietor of All Stars. She is, and we go way back. Now, I hate to say that we are old friends, Leslie, because that would make us old people. But let's just say,
I know,
a friend from a different era of my life, now back in it, as we welcome in Leslie Corci Valenti. Thanks for joining us here on In the Circle.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited. I'm very humbled and very excited.
Well, I should mention that, Richie B, we have on the line the undisputed best player in the history of Leonia High School softball, Richie B.
Thank you.
So I keep hearing.
Well, thanks, guys. My nickname was the Armenian Rifle back in the day. One of the teachers dubbed me that. But, I pitched I pitched probably just basically, to say it simply, a lot. I think I pitched like 89 games in 4 years.
That's a lot. That's I'm a man of words, not of numbers, but just in my rough and preliminary math, that seems like a heavy workload.
89 more than both of us.
That's true too.
And I batted for myself, so it was always, I was always on the bases doing something crazy. The head coach at the time, Pam Bradley, who I love to pieces, I used to slide head first into second and third base, and she would just take her clipboard when I get to third and just smack me. She'd say, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I don't want to slide legs first. I'm afraid I'm going to break my ankle and then I can't pitch." She's like, "Great, so you'll just dislocate your shoulder." I'm like, "Yeah, it's all good. It's all good."
Or wrist or finger or something.
Yeah, but I survived. Hey, I'm in one piece.
Yes. So the reason we're having you on tonight is because Richie wrote a feature story. Well, we're having you on for a couple of reasons, but the first reason we're having you on is that Richie wrote a feature story late last week that you can read on NorthJerseySports.com, and you have stayed close to the game with pitching lessons, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But just talk about this opportunity here to go from small-town Leonia, when I knew you, as a Group 1 high school softball pitcher, to now being selected to coach one of the Northeast regional teams for USA Softball, the 12Us. I mean, just talk about that. That's pretty crazy.
Well, first of all, Rich, thank you. The article, you guys, both of you, but Rich, the article was really sweet. I just want to say that my parents and my family, when they read it, they were just, it brings back a lot of great memories of those days when, you'd play in a game, a high school game, the next day back then you'd run down to get the Bergen Record in the morning, at your doorstep or whatever. We also had the Hudson Dispatch, It was nice because my dad was like, "Oh my God, this reminds me of, those days." And it really was very touching. And I just thank you both. It was a really well written article. But yeah, I mean, I've been saying this a lot to people lately, and it's the truth. I guess if you chase your dreams long enough, not only can you catch them, they let you catch them. And if you stay true to your dream and you do it for the right reasons, and anybody who knows me, that is trained with me, I mean, you go to my website, it says how much a lesson is, it tells you how long it is, but if I told you how many more minutes, I've spent where I would never say, "Oh, that costs more," or whatever, never. I've always stayed true to the spirit of it. I've had kids come to me that I know financially they struggle, so you do the right thing. That's some kid's future. It's not me to say, well, I mean, of course I have bills. We all do, right? But, now I feel like those dreams, like I feel like the softball gods out there in the universe were like, "You know what? You earned this one." So I'm just like, I can't even explain it. I kind of it kind of makes me cry like away a little bit. I get very emotional. And then I get like totally ecstatic. Like I ate like 30 pounds of sugar.
So
but,
it's awesome, but tell us exactly. I mean, it's a lot of number salad, and as Richie wrote, a Northeast regional team for the USA 12U softball All-American Games.
Big.
Yeah. So tell us what that means.
Okay, so what that means is USA Softball. I'm going to say, I guess this is probably the third year they're doing it. I might be off by a year or so, but it's fairly new. And I don't want to speak and put words in the mouth of anybody regarding this concept, but in my feeling is this. We all know that from the days that when we were younger, like when I played, when there was a national tournament, which I pitched in Marietta, Georgia, with the Shilohs, the North Jersey Shilohs, it was I think 14 or 15 and under. That was the only national tournament. It was ASA. I'm an ASA girl, Amateur Softball Association girl, from day one. So the thing is now, and I understand, society changes. We have more at our fingertips. People start up teams, and there's travel teams and club teams, and I get it, and that's great. But what happens is, to put it in like almost like economic terms in a way, the market starts to get flooded. And and I gotta be honest with you, you don't really know what the quality is after a while. And when we say the word quality, look, every kid that wants to get on a field and play and fulfill dreams, I'm not saying anything negative about that. But when I have people call me or come in to work with me, and they literally think, when I give them, they say, oh, can I come in for an evaluation? Okay, sure. Or tell me what you think, since you coach college and stuff. Tell me what you think of my girl's swing. Or tell me what you think of her 8 different pitches. And the kid's like 13 years old. People don't like what I have to say a lot of times. Because I say to them, hey, I'm 45 years old. I've never had an injury, never had a surgery. And I did it playing against the best people in the world at the time that were later on the Olympic team. This was before Olympic softball. I played against the Puerto Rican national team here in the States. I mean, I played against some really big names. It's sad. A lot of the people, I drop names now. People are like, who's that? I'm like, oh my God. But my point is this, I think there's a need that we need to have sort of a baseline to go off of. If people are going to make this sport so important and put it on the map the way they've done with these club teams and travel teams, and hey, the equipment is so sophisticated, well, I think we have the right as the softball community to really see where our true top players are and who they are. So we can start right there, if you know what I mean. You can play, Leonia Recreation, I think the slogan core used to be like be in it or life, be in it. It was something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's for everybody. Yes, I'm in favor of that. But it is only fair to want to know, if we're going to talk about, well, I'm going to be at this tournament and that's, as a coach, I kind of want to know what the best one is. And what better place and building an entity than USA National Softball? I don't, a couple people have, not in a snarky way, but a few people have said to me, well, how did you get that? And I go, well, okay, I'll laugh with you for a second. I know it seems like, I'm from Leonia, a little group, whatever school. I went to a Division III college. I was not an All-American. I get it. But you know what? The point is, I've made some amazing friendships over the years with just a few people along the way. And they were quality people that I've stayed in touch with. We're on the same page. We talk about the fundamentals and the grassroots organic game that it was and it should still be. And those people are like, yeah, you belong with us in Oklahoma. And that's where I step back and I say to my parents, thank you for raising me the right way. Because I stayed true to what you taught me. You do the right thing. You don't put yourself first. You put somebody else first. It's that kid's career. It's not my career anymore. So when a kid comes in, I don't care how little they are. Look, I talk about Jim Abbott all the time, right? Great pitcher for the Yankees. Had one hand. Yep. And I'm sure somebody could have laughed him out of, and people are mean. But I say to people, don't walk in my facility and start off with, I'm not really good. No. You found me. I'm here for you. I'm gonna get you functioning out there. And at the end of the day, I think in 23 years of instructing, I've been a positive part of a lot of kids' lives, and this to me was like the reward. I mean, I just truly believe that. I mean, this is like all those days I'd go home going, man, I still wish I coached a team, and boy, I really wished I had that opportunity to play in Italy that I passed up. And, because I had been asked to play in Italy at one point. And my friend Jamie, when we first met, she was doing the organizing and scouting for the Athens Olympics, putting the European teams together. And when we were talking, I said, I'm part Greek. I'm also Armenian, but I'm part Greek. She said, I could get you a tryout on the national team. Greece doesn't have a national team. But you know what? You go back those many years, there's no social media. My parents were like, we can't send you to Italy or Greece. We're not, how are we going to keep in touch? They were scared, and I understand that as a parent. But this is like I passed up some really amazing opportunities that I really wished I could have done, and then boom, when you're not looking, you're going to like the mothership, to Oklahoma. It's emotional for me. It's beyond emotional. I can't, and I dedicate this trip to my son.
That's awesome.
Because he's the little engine that could, and I love him. Dane Michael, love you. And to my husband, Michael, thank you for standing behind me.
Go ahead, Richie B.
Yeah,
Richie?
just wanted to touch on a point where you said about the equipment nowadays, because one thing that I've noticed in the first couple weeks of the season is you look at box scores, and the first game I covered,
pretty crazy.
16-13. You see games that are even higher scoring than that. Talk about the difference of the bats in the last, really just the last 2 or 3 years, especially. And is that good for the game? Is it bad for the game? Give me your opinion on that.
Well, this is where, my opinion on this, I shock a lot of people when I say this. And it's funny, I'm sitting up here in my facility, and I still have, and it's in my hand right now, my bat from Leonia High School. It's got the same leather grip. I never changed it. It was a 33-inch bat, and it's 27 ounces. Kind of unheard of in today's game. Okay? Girls don't pitch that much faster. Like, we played from 40 feet.
Yep.
Okay, our mound was 40 feet. And I also did play when it changed to the green ball. So I've been a part of that whole transition from the aluminum bat to the composite to the double wall to the green ball to going back to 43 feet. And all I can say is, out of all the games I played, I mean, scores were never from the games I played in, and I mean, yeah, these scores are like unreal. And we're not talking, Rich, like you said, it's not like the 20-0. It's the scores are equally like super high. And to me, it's not to say that the game should be low scoring, but that was the excitement of it back in the day. Not to sound old, like, Corey, when we were joking. But
no, I am old, Leslie. You may not be old, but I am.
Well, we're only, I think, a year apart.
You don't have to tell anybody that.
Yeah, but, I mean, we're not ready for the Geritol farm yet. Correct. However, but, when we played, and again, aluminum bats, I really don't understand where we've gone with this, where everybody's wearing a face mask. The third baseman, the whole bunt game is like a whole different ball of wax.
Right.
When I played, from the corner of my eye, I'd see the third baseman sneaking up. That was exciting. I don't find it exciting. I find it scary when you watch a girl get practically assassinated in the ribs with a line drive, and you're saying to yourself, well, she can't be that spazzy and not know how to catch a ball.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. The ball just came off the bat at 99 whatever miles per hour. However these companies, come up with the deciding factor of what's not dangerous and what's safe. I'm very sorry.
Can I just jump in here, because and you have to forgive my ignorance. I know baseball, especially, when college baseball, the College World Series, when the games were 20-18 and people were hitting home runs with the bats, there was no...
Aluminum, which you don't use in the major leagues, so go figure that one.
Yeah, so in softball, and Richie sounds like he knows better than I do, but, I mean, is there a running debate now about trying to slow down exit velocity? I mean, or is nobody, or are people not even talking about it?
I don't even think, and this is why, I'm actually... I feel like I'm walking a fine line, but I'm proud to walk it and bring this out in the open. It is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think anybody's discussing it. All I keep hearing from people is, hey, where can my kids get their exit velocity measured?
I even hate that term. I hate it.
You, please, you know what I say to them? Let me throw your kid a few pitches. I'll give you the idea. I can let you know, based on my years of having balls hit back at me by women that were on the Olympic team maybe a year or two after I was done playing. The Dot Richardsons, the Sheila Cornells, these are the names I say to people, and people are like, who are they? And I shake, I tremor. And we did that with aluminum bats. I mean, now you've got a lot of college teams going to fields where the fences are really far back, because this is their way of trying to contain it from being a home run foul.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, the running slack, all that stuff. Let's get back to the fundamentals.
Yes, that was fun.
I believe it was so much fun to have that little ball game that people go, no, teach my kid to hit a 300, foot shot. And I'm like, for what? You don't get an award because you're going to hit a high pop-up and it's going to get caught. Or I'm going to throw you change-ups and throw it. And the way the swing has changed, because bats are end-loaded. Some of them have Some of them are not end-loaded because people go, oh, yeah, end-load. So companies make that, they don't say they're end-loaded, but they're two-piece designed with thin handle. If you pick up a thin-handled bat where the end of the bat now seems bigger because the handle is thinner, it gives you the sensation of it being heavier. I mean, people tell me, no, it says it's not end-loaded, it's balanced. I go, do me a favor, swing my bat from high school and swing that, and my 27-ounce bat feels pretty good. I mean, I've actually hurt my left shoulder fooling around up here, and I'm a righty, swinging a kid's DeMarini because it's like, I felt like my shoulder was going to pop out. And then just to top it off, I said to the girl, that very girl whose bat I was swinging, I said, does your shoulder ever bother you? And the father said, that's funny. She's a righty, and her left shoulder hurts every time she's done swinging. I go, well, that says a lot right there.
Yeah, really.
It's the price tag is ridiculous. The bats break. And I have parents come to me going, you know, you charge this much for a lesson? I go, and I look at the kid's bat bag, and they've got like $600 worth of bats in their bag that they can't swing right.
Right.
So where are we going? We're chasing the wrong thing here.
Yes. Back to basics. That is your
yes.
That is your
it's
mantra.
A bat and a ball, and you got to hit it.
Correct.
That's it.
All right. So last thing I want to ask you here, and I'm sure people listening to this, you have an impassioned view of the game of softball. You are obviously knowledgeable. You are accomplished. And you've been written about on NorthJerseySports.com, which is really, really, really rarefied air. So I will ask you,
I love it.
I will ask you to give us a quick word on the All-Stars practice facility that you run, the benefits of it, and we thank you for being a presenting sponsor here on our website. So we want to give you the opportunity to tell people, what kind of operation you're running over there, Leslie.
Oh boy, it's been 10 years of all good stuff, but I want to thank you both so much. I appreciate it, and I love being a part of your company, your news outlet. I think you guys go about it all the way totally the right way that I love to see stuff put out there. You represent all the different levels, and I love it.
Well, we appreciate that.
I think it's a good fit, like the way you guys follow the little schools and the big schools. Hey, everybody's out there playing. Get coverage,
Yep.
I love it. I love it. But here up at All Stars, the thing is this. Anybody can do it. If you want to do it, you want to get better at hitting, stop in. We'll work with you. We're not about elite players. We're not, we don't, some people actually own facilities and they go look for those players. They go to tournaments and hey, come, no. People say to me, well, how come you're not out there? I go, you know what? Look, I believe this. What you do in here in this facility, people are going to leave and they're going to say nice things about it. And I've got parents that are like, they call me, they're like, I just told my daughter's whole team about you. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. That is the greatest compliment. Because I'm working with somebody's kid. So let's really get to the heart of it. Nobody gets fingerprinted when they open these businesses. There's no background checks. You could be just about anybody, that same person that starts a club team. You got to know who you're sending your kids to.
That's
and I like to Google things. You know what I mean? You don't listen. So much has gone on in the NCAA. It's bad. Things have happened to somebody's child. People's children have been victimized. And I'm like, hey, you come up by me, I'm going to treat your kid like that kid's my kid. And that's first and foremost. You leave here with a smile. But you actually learn the fundamentals and you have fun doing it. Fun is the first three letters, F-U-N, the word is in it.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here like a drill sergeant, hit the ball. I mean, come on, they're kids. So my opinion is get the simple bat, play in your local little league and rec softball league, and there's some local travel, which is great, that doesn't cost a whole lot. Get your simple bat, do your drills I show you, and take it back old school, the old days when my dad would take me up to the middle school in February on a piece of cardboard because the ground was muddy. Get out there. People walk in, they go, this is it? 2 tunnels? It's not a dome? You don't need a dome to practice your batting swing. You don't need a dome. You don't need to travel over the East Coast to get better at pitching. You need you and yourself, and you got to take a hard look at yourself, and you got to be committed. We focus on drill. We focus on safety. We talk about nutrition. We talk about conditioning. I prefer weightlifting personally. I think conditioning is great. Kids, they can run all day long, but for you to be able to throw 89 games in 4 years, I mean, I was in a gym all the time. I squatted 2 1/4. And that's how I stayed strong, and no injuries, no surgery. So this little place of mine, this is a throwback, and you're going back in history with me, if to put it in sort of those terms. Yep.
Yeah.
The no frill zone.
Well, that's
old
I think
school.
that's what Richie and I both like about the facility. I mean, even
though I have the simulators,
it tastes like old school baseball and old school softball.
Sure. Well, we have the popcorn machine too, so it's great. You get that in the baseball games.
And it also tastes like popcorn. Yeah. All right, so Leslie Corti Valenti, thank you for joining us here on this edition of In the Circle. It's been a blast, and we will certainly we're going to keep in touch with you. We got more to do. But if you're interested in what Leslie had to say, if you're interested in having your kid trained to play softball, hit the simulators,
we have baseball too. We got baseball guys here too.
Baseball simulators, all that stuff, and Richie and I are both going to come down. I want to take a crack at that machine because.
You got to try it. My baseball instructor hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Tommy Rowe, he's a former pro, and my other guy is Jose Antigua, and he was a bullpen catcher with the Chicago White Sox. Listen, we got the best of the best here, and I invite people to come and meet us and see what we're about. And you too. You guys got to get the bat and get in the cage. Let's go.
All right, check him out. Check him out.
Corey, I think I want to pitch to you.
Listen, you're on. You are on. All right. Now,
okay, I'm down.
Talk about left shoulders hurting when we walk out of that place. I'm going to be dragging.
You'll be fine.
You'll push it back into its socket before you send me on my way back north.
That's it. I won't let you leave injured.
Yes. All right. Check him out at All Stars Practice. That's Allstars with a Z, practice.com. You can also check him out on Twitter. What is it? All Stars Lodi, also with a Z. And they're gonna, we'll be tweeting them. We'll be sending the links out there, and give Leslie, give it a look, because it really is baseball and softball like it ought to be. So, Leslie, thanks again for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Much appreciated. God bless.
All right, Richie B. Interesting stuff there with Leslie Corti Valenti. She has a definite take on softball and where it should go from here. So, thank you for joining us. And Richie B., what do you got to say to close this edition of In the Circle?
Well, I thought it was a great show. I got to tell you, a lot of information, from Leslie, a lot of information about Tennis Flash from Jeff, a lot of good information at the top from us, because we're just unbelievable professionals, and can't wait to do it again next week.
See you next week on In the Circle.
Follow the leader.